Okay, 3F. All right. So we're going to use table 2. And what percentage of users aged 17 to 24 had blood pressure of 140 or more? Now, 140 shows up in 2 of the lists. We have 135 to 140 and 140 to 145. Which one does 140 belong to? Does it belong to the 135 to 140 or 140 to 145? Well, how do we tell? Look in the description. Class intervals include the left, but not the right. So I have the class interval 135 to 140, and then 140 to 145. And 140 belongs to which one of those? The bottom one. Because it said bracket, parenthesis. Bracket, parenthesis. Right? And that's a mathematical term. They don't do that in statistics, but it makes sense to you guys. Right? Which one it belongs to. So, to find out greater than 140, what numbers do we add together? 4, 2, 1, and then 0, 0. Right? Which is 7. The next question asks, what about the non-users? We would add up 3 and 2, and then we're done. 5. So 7% and 5%. Okay. What do you conclude? Non-users have lower blood pressure than users, which is what we figured out. Yeah. Now, this one was a observation, but it turns out we know that the pill does raise blood pressure. That's well documented and experimented on. Okay. Draw the histogram for blood pressures of the users and non-users 17 to 24. Okay. So there are lots of ways you could do this. You could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 class intervals. What's the recommendation for class intervals? Do you remember? No? It said 10 to 15. So we're okay because a couple of them don't actually show up. So here's how you would do your well, whatever. So it starts at under 90. And I'm going to include the under 90 with the 90 and 95. So I'm going to say, I'm going to start at 90, 95, 100. How far do I have to go? And feel free to graph these on the same graph if you would like. Okay, here's the tricky part. There are a lot of numbers. How do we know how high to graph it? Now, if every class interval is the same width, then a histogram is a lot easier because you can just graph the height, right? If every class interval is the same width, you can just graph the heights. Okay, and you can get away with it. But technically, you're supposed to take the percentage and divide it by the width. Okay, and you need to figure out what the biggest one is. So what's the biggest class interval we have? The 115 to 120 for the non-users, and there are 20 people in that group, 20% of the people in that group. But that width is 5, so what is the height? 4%. So we are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now if I put the top as 20, and this is really important that you understand this. If the top is 20, I'm okay graphing it that way because everybody has the same width. Does that make sense? But once the widths start varying, then you have to do this divide trick. Okay. So I'm going to go down the non-user list from 90 to 95. We have 1, but we divide it by the width, which is 5, and I get 0.2 right there. Okay. And then 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. Start just telling me the numbers. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Divide them for me. So 2.2. Okay, the next one. What is it? 3. Okay. 2.6. 2. 1.6. 0.8. 0.4. And then 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now, your graph, some of you did this, 20, 15, 10, and 5. And your graph looked exactly the same as mine, right? And that's okay because all of them were the same width. And then on the next assignment, you're going to find out, wait, maybe it's this assignment. Let me look. Yeah. You're going to find out later why it's important to do the widths. Okay. All right. So if we look at the other one, which is users, we're going to start off with 0.2, and then 95 to 100 is also 0.2. Now start calculating those for me. So the 100 would be 1.2. What's the next one? So 9. 9 divided by 5 is 1.8. Okay, next one. Okay. All right. Okay. And then 0, 0. Right. What's the difference between the red graph and, or red, wow, the black graph and the blue graph? The black graph is shifted to the right. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Draw histograms for the blood pressure of users and non-users 17 to 24. Oh, we just did that. Compare the histograms for the blood pressure of 17 to 24 non-users and non-users for 25 to 34. What do you conclude? What did you guys get when you graphed those? So the 17 to 24 had higher blood pressures than the 25 to 34. Why might that be? Being a teenager is hard. Okay, lots of potential reasons there. Okay.